Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to model a city. So in the tutorial packet that I gave you guys, I gave you, let me see if I can find it real quick, a Chicago base. So let me find it real quick. I believe I put it in my packages, GIS packages, and yes. So in here I give you enough information that you can use to start modeling a little bit of Chicago. So drag in the ArcBack package in here. And I'm going to close this first and close this first. Basically, I took a building layer of Chicago and I just cropped out so we want to get downtown Chicago, basically, where all the cool tall buildings are. And so before I do anything else, let's set up our file. So we have buildings in Chicago right here. Let's add an aerial image behind it. So sorry, as I find the file. So I have a series of aerial images right here. Thought I'd download it from the same source that I've shown you guys several times by now. So this is downtown Chicago. Just 4 aerial renderings or aerial images. Okay, and then let's add a terrain file. So that's this file right here. Again, all the information I'm showing you is downloaded by that one website that I showed you guys previously. So first thing we do is we know that this is our model extents. And actually, because we know those are our model extents, we can use this file as our extents file. So in Infraworks, let's go to Infraworks, start new. I'll call this Chicago. Urban Topographies. Oops, that's fine. It's not spelled correctly, but whatever. And so define the model extent and load extent from file, and let's find it again. Actually, I didn't save that in there. Where did I save it? You might need to re-export the shape file. Actually, because I don't want you guys to get lost, I'll show you how to do it. I'm just gonna re-export this guy here. So just go to Data, Export Data, and just save it somewhere. Let's call it buildings. All I'm doing is I'm just making a copy of the same information. The reason because I need to locate that file. So let's make a new model again. Chicago. So then load the extent. So we're going to find that information again. There it is right there. I just re-exported that. So click open. And again, use data extents. That's just going to basically draw a rectangle around those buildings. And then click OK. Okay. So now we have that, and you can see it kind of, you imagine the GIS file that we just did. It's kind of like this long rectangular shape. It follows our long rectangular shape right there. Okay, now same process before. Let's add our terrain information first. So let's go to my packages folder, Chicago, this file here, and then just usually it's the biggest file, so click that, click open. I'm just going to configure. Make sure it says terrain, and then close and refresh. If you can't access that, just right-click it and click refresh. Same thing. So you kind of see here, it's very faint, but you kind of see a basic model of the terrain of Chicago. Chicago is notoriously flat, so there's not much terrain going on here, but you can kind of see various features here and that kind of thing. Now let's add the aerial. Just drag and drop these guys here, click open. And I'm going to double click that, make sure it says ground imagery. Now you see here there's a tag here that says it doesn't know what coordinate system it should be associated with. So this is the part of Infraworks that's tricky. And I would imagine if you guys are playing around with Infraworks, this is the part where you probably get most confused and stuck with. You need to know what the coordinate system for each data set is inherently based in. And so how do you find that out? If you go back to your GIS file, and let's say you just click a random aerial here, let's go to Properties and Source, you will see in this layers in this information on properties, it gives you the spatial reference. This, in essence, is the coordinate system you want to use to visualize that map in Infraworks. If you choose anything else, it probably is not going to work. For instance, I'm just going to choose a random system like LL83. That's not random. That's a very common one, but I don't think it's going to work. So let's close and refresh that one. I can click it. So you see what happens is a data source failure. And so I imagine if you run into this problem, you're saying, oh, what's happening? The reason this is happening is because the coordinate system is not accurate. And so let's double click here. And I know that the coordinate system should be, let's go back to properties, this WGS 1984 Web Mercator Auxiliary Sphere. So use this as a guide to kind of find it. So like WGS 1984 is a good place to start. So in the coordinate system, you can search by clicking the globe here. Let's search for WGS to start. And you see it begins to bring up all the options with WGS. And we were looking for something very specific here. And you can see you could get overwhelmed by the number of options you have here, but I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something very specific. So let's see if we can find it. WGS. This is actually what you want. WGS 84 pseudo Mercator, spherical formulation. I know it's weird, but it is what this is the correct one. And if you click close and refresh, it's going to process. So this is the part that's trickiest, and probably the part that, again, I think if you have trouble is how you fix it. But now you see you have your aerial image draped across Chicago. And you can see Chicago River is very beautiful. Chicago is a great city to visit for a weekend. Now, buildings. Now you want to know how to bring buildings into your model. So let's go to, now what we need to do is basically we need to add this shapefile right here, this buildings layer. And so I'll show what happens when you just add it straight up. So this is a shapefile, so you want to click on add data, and then add the shapefile, which is SHP. And it brings me right to the same correct folder. So click on buildings, click on open. And then you need to set that shapefile to the correct feature. So double click on it. And you see right now it's asking for a type. You want to click buildings. And geolocation automatically sets to IL83EF, which is the correct coordinate system. Again, if I go back to the ArcMap document to show you guys, if we right click here, go to properties, you'll see it's properties that the coordinate system is 83 State Plane, Illinois, east F by F FIPS feet. And that actually is the same thing as this. It's Illinois. IL is Illinois, 83. E for east, F for feet. It's a little confusing now, but this is how it works basically. And if you have questions about exactly which coordinate system you need to use, just let me know. But now that's all set, you have a couple options in terms of roof height, roof slope, and the roof and the building style right here. And we're not going to worry about these for now because I'll show you what happens when you click close and refresh. Make sure everything else. Also, make sure you always click drape. And that's going to set the building to the height of the terrain it's on. So it's basically going to extrude from the base. So if, for instance, if you have a hill, it's not going to extrude from the zero line. It's going to extrude from where the building intersects with the hill. So once you click drape, click close and refresh. I'll show what happens. It's not going to look correct. It's not going to look correct because all the buildings are the same elevation. But we're getting there. We're getting close. So why is it like this? Is because it doesn't know exactly which building should be which height. And so we need to set this information in GIS first before we bring it into this file here. So I'm going to remove it first. Let's go back to GIS first. Go to GIS, we look at the Chicago building layer here. Open the attribute table real quick. You see you have all this information for buildings. And I can't promise you that when you find a building shapefile, you have all this building information already set for you. But if you do have it, you need something that can key you into the building height. Sometimes shapefiles give you the building height, sometimes they don't. In this case, it does not give me the building height, but it gives me something close. If I scrub through this set of information here, you see there's this thing called stories. This is how many stories each building is, basically. And so if we just use our general knowledge of buildings, a floor is generally 12 feet. We can use that as a rule of thumb. So the building height, we can, as a rule of thumb, say it's the number of stories multiplied by 12 feet. So we need to add a field, call this building height, for instance, or you can call it elevation. If you brought this into Rhino, then the shape would bring in at the correct elevation. And we're going to set as a double, and click OK. And so this we want to set to be equal, field calculator, to stories times 12. Click OK. And I'm gonna try something. Let's try doing this in an edit session. So I'm gonna go to add field again, elevation. Let's call that double. Or let's do a long integer. Oh, actually, let's do double-ish. That's more precise. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into an edit session. So start editing. This is another way to edit data. We're going to do the exact same process. So right-click here, field calculator, elevation equals stories times 12. It's a number. Click OK. Okay, so for some reason I can't figure out why this is not working, but I'll have to figure out in my own time, and I apologize for that. In the meantime, I'll give you guys a temporary workaround. So let's add that building file back into Infraworks buildings. Go to configure, and if you set it to buildings again, the roof height here, you can set it to a specific expression editor. So go to expression editor here. See right now it's setting everything to 10. And you can set the units to something else. Right now it's in meters. In here you can basically grab any property of this feature from its elevation table. So right now you can find in here stories, for instance, and then you can multiply that by 12, for instance, to get the feet. Click OK. Change M to feet. Then click close and refresh. It will do the exact same thing as if you were to set that table inside of ArcMap. I was just not quite sure why the ArcMap document wasn't working, but you can do the exact same thing in here. But there you go. Now you've used what is essentially an attribute table and used that to essentially model a city. And I've been using this tool for a specific project I've been using right now. But there you go. That's very quickly how you can begin to model urban fabric very quickly and very easily. And you can, again, export all this information to an FBX file and begin to visualize your terrain and city models very quickly. And let's turn on some visual effects here real quick to give it a bit more coolness. Let's go to visual effects. High visual quality, turn on shadows. Ambient occlusion. So this is where ambient occlusion really starts to work. As you can see, there's like some soft shadows happening around each of these buildings here. And then you can use this to make dramatic, and then go sun and sky, visualizations of urban city like that.
Is there an advantage to